This is Greg Kelly. Donate now to Toys for Tots, which works year-round. Go to toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots supports children in need throughout the year with programs like the Toys for Tots Literacy Program. Established in 2008, it has provided over 63 million books to disadvantaged children. The Toys for Tots Literacy Program is committed to providing disadvantaged children with direct access to books and educational resources that enhance their ability to read and communicate effectively. Go to toysfortots.org.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
This is The Other Side of Midnight.
They're running a strange program, y'all.
With Lionel.
Walter M. Sterling for Lionel, an honor, a privilege. Thank you, Lionel, for letting me share this time with your listener. I appreciate it. 5 minutes past the hour. James Flippin, news director, Red Apple Audio. Updates on two major stories. I did not want it to wait a couple hours. Let's put the news director on. Pulse of the Nation, informative, objective. James, welcome. Let's talk about the horrendous events that happened outside New York's Gracie Mansion today.
Well, Walter, it was actually the third bomb that was found today out in the Upper East Side of Manhattan in a parked car, a black Hyundai, where cops found a improvised explosive device, if you will. This was after two of them were recovered yesterday from the scene of, or, you know, what I should say 2 days ago, the same scene near there, Gracie Mansion, where Mayor Mamdani, Zohran Mamdani, and his wife live. These two men, 18-year-old Amir Balat and 19-year-old Ibrahim Kayumi, are accused of bringing what amount to glass jars wrapped in black tape, packed with an explosive, packed with screws and nuts and bolts and nails and the kind of pipe bombs that we've seen in some of these terrorist attacks in the past. Now, these are two young men who reportedly previously trained with ISIS in Turkey and other so-called hotspots. They also have addresses in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, that have been searched in the wake of their arrest, and also maybe in New Jersey. But what was happening, Walter, were these dueling protests, so to speak, on Saturday. And obviously most people know that Zohran Mamdani being the first mayor in New York City that's Muslim, it's attracted a lot of different attention with regards to these geopolitical conflicts, including Israel-Palestine, including obviously the ongoing war in Iran. And I know we're going to get there in a second. But the Upper East Side of Manhattan, Gracie Mansion, the mayor's official residence, this kind of became the hot point for this ongoing culture war, if you will, the Israeli-influenced, more Western side on the one end of it, and then the sort of more Muslim-influenced pro-Palestine side. And really what's happening right now is so much of it centered on the war in Iran and how people are responding to that. But Zohran Mamdani, his wife, Rama Douaji, they were inside the mansion at the time, and they were not hurt. Thankfully, nobody was, because these bombs did not explode, even though they contain this explosive that's known as the Mother of Satan. It's a common sort of homemade explosive known as Mother of Satan, TATP, acetone peroxide. So that's what you have, Walter, these two teenagers who are in custody right now, 18-year-old Amir Balat, 19-year-old Ibrahim Kayumi, and the connections to overseas ISIS groups and also addresses in Pennsylvania.
James Flippin, news director, Red Apple Audio Networks. James, I cannot tell from the names. Perhaps it's a shortcoming of my upbringing. Do we know the background of those two cowards?
Well, I mean, that's what's being dug into right now by the investigators. Obviously, the FBI is involved. They've been provided with these homemade pipe bombs, if you will, these IEDs. And as I was saying, there are reports that these are teenagers who were sort of self-radicalized, who had spent time overseas with either ISIS groups or groups that purported to help ISIS or wanted to help ISIS. I know for sure Turkey is a place that I've read they spent time in. And these protests, these dueling protests, if you will, part of the reason why it's so much a touch point with the cultural war is this guy, Jake Lang, was organizing I guess what you could call anti-Muslim protest on Saturday, the Stop the Islamification of New York City protest. And, Jake Lang is a guy who's run for Senate in Florida. He was arrested during the January 6th events. He is definitely a provocateur, if you want to use that word. And he was organizing this protest to begin with. Probably about 20 people showed up for that. But then there was a pro-Muslim protest that had about 125 people. And that's where these two guys, 18-year-old Amir Balat and 19-year-old Ibrahim Kayumi, were part of that group. And it's very dramatic video, Walter. You can see it, where the one kid, the younger one, Amir, lights up what's the homemade hobby fuse, if you will, and then he tries to go ahead and throw that while cops are trying to get him and hold him down. And as I said, it thankfully didn't explode, but it very easily could have. And the reports are saying that this is something that could have done a lot of damage and caused a lot of problems for the people there because of obviously all the shrapnel involved and because of the explosive being this mother of Satan that can very easily explode just with friction, impact, heat. Any of that type of stimuli can cause it to explode, even just dropping it in some instances. That's how unstable this kind of bomb is.
James Flippin, you mentioned it, and I have very short-term memory problems. How old were these people?
The one who actually tried to throw off the bombs and did go back to get another one, 18. His alleged accomplice, 19.
Where are the parents? They went over and got self-radicalized. How do you get self-radicalized? They went over to some strange country like Turkey when they were 16, 17-year-old and, quote, got radicalized. Where are the parents?
Well,
now,
I mean, that's something that still has to be figured out, obviously, Walter. But, yeah, there's a lot of people asking those questions online and in social media saying, hey, this directly connects to a lot of the debates we have on immigration.
Now, they were at a protest, a Muslim protest. Were they in favor or against? Because, again, I'm very confused about this.
Well, you're right to be confused because the thing sort of took on a political mind of its own early on Saturday or right afterwards on Saturday, because even a guy like Brad Hoylman Siegel, who's the Manhattan Borough president, he took to X and blasted this guy, Jake Lang, who I mentioned a few minutes ago, as being the person who threw the bombs. Now, later, when that turned out not to be true, he deleted that X post and sort of fell back on, well, this guy, Jake Lang, started everything in the first place because nobody would have been there if he hadn't set up his protest. So, no, the reports are, the indication is that these two guys that are in custody right now are of the pro-Muslim variety and that they do have, at least per the reports, connection to ISIS groups. And the sort of immediate knee-jerk reaction from many on the left, both politically and in the news, were to say, oh, this was something where this far-right provocateur had this event set up, and that's what led to the bombs being thrown. But actually, it was this group. By the way, it was a larger protest. The counter-protest, probably not shocking to anybody listening right now, Walter, the counter, more pro-Islam protest was bigger in New York City than this one organized by this Jake Lang guy from Florida. So the two suspects were on the side of being in opposition to Jake Lang. That's how I'll say it.
Rural Americans deserve access to the best our nation has to offer, especially when it comes to health care. Across every state and every community, America's rural hospitals are the first line of defense, protecting our families, neighbors, and loved ones. No matter where you live, hospital care doesn't clock out. They're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Each year, America's over 5,000 hospitals care for millions of patients, providing 24/7 emergency care, delivering babies, cancer treatments, and other life-saving care that patients rely on. Behind every one of those patients are doctors, nurses, and caregivers working tirelessly to keep people healthy and safe. Hospitals are our community's lifelines. They employ our neighbors and keep our families' health. But now, some in Congress are threatening access to care. Tell Congress, protect patient care to keep America strong. Don't cut rural health care.